All right, everybody, let's get this started. The Don't Panic Cup is on. We have our first game. 4 teams are playing. And, well, I have someone here that can explain you a lot better what we actually are here for, what this tournament is all about, and what we're going to look at today, because I have another co-caster that's going to share today's matches with me. Welcome to the stream once again, Thatcher.
Hello, I'm not dead. Feels good. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Don't Panic Cup, created by myself and funded by the wonderful Janetja as a birthday treat for her husband, Don't Panic. That's what we're here for today. 4 teams, double elimination, best of 3, all the way to the finals, which will be a best of 5. And we're starting off with the Vikings versus We Need Another Coke, or as Khaldor told before the stream, they have another nickname here.
Exactly, so this is obviously Laubers' team, so pretty much Laubers' fan club, and I just renamed them. Given the recent performance of Lauber and the boys that he played with in the in-house league, I just simply said this time for the tournament they're going to be Team 08. Everybody that watched In-House Cup knows exactly what this is all about, but I feel that was a little bit more appropriate given recent performance. Despite that, it's going to be pretty great. We have good players on both sides. Volskaya is our first map. And yeah, I'm hyped for this one. This is going to be a lot of fun here, especially since the boys around Macke did fantastic just recently. I can't wait to see what they can pull off. Especially since this is, of course, another tournament with the recent changes to the towers and the forts. And as you said, Tacit is allowed, correct?
Yep, as I was not informed of any bugs before this started, so as far as I'm aware, every hero, every talent, everything's allowed. I wasn't informed of anything before we started, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, people have actually asked a lot if when Tacit will finally be allowed in a tournament, because in the in-house cup, since the patch dropped just in the middle, he was not allowed there. Of course, still the tower changes had big impacts on all of this. And now that we're heading in, we have the Rhaegar first pick again. All about the Bloodlust these days.
The Bloodlust is absolutely insane, the sheer aggression you can rush forward with. And in terms of the TAS, it was very much, I'm making this tournament, I decide what I want to see, and I'm sure a lot of people want to see that new Tassadar in action. So I decreed that we have the Tassadar allowed. But yeah,
definitely good one.
Bloodlust, already ready. Sylvanas, I've seen getting a little bit more popularity as well. We're starting off with Malfurion and Chromie for the Vikings.
Now, the reason why this surprised me is because both Greymane and Tyrael actually got neglected here, and if we've seen one thing coming through as a complete theme throughout the entire in-house tournament, it was the combo with Bloodlust, Sanctification, and then either Greymane as someone to just rip throats out, or a follow-up with other heroes. For example, you could have an auto attacker like Jimmy. We've even seen the Bloodlusted Sergeant Hammer. So not taken here. It is Volskaya though. But I like what they did then again, not going into those heroes just mentioned, leaving them open for now. They still have a chance to at least lock the Greymane down, if not banned out or taken away. Jimmy's up too, but the combo with Garrosh and Zarya is sexy as hell and it's always fun to watch.
Oh yes, the speed barrier. We also have Feel the Heat potential for Zarya combined with that Bloodlust. So much DPS potential, and Garrosh with 2 potential speed boosts is going to be very, very hard to avoid. I'm excited to see what they do with that.
Yeah, Greymane gets banned out, so that was more or less expected. Again, initially I really thought that the Vikings would try to deny Greymane by picking him for themselves after they saw the Rhaegar pick, which shouldn't have come as a surprise. But even, I mean, if you have on top of that Zarya now also with the speed bubble, you really don't want to give them Greymane too. But ETC gets banned out. Chromie, it's going to be quite interesting here on the side of the Vikings.
Got that mana regen. Chromie doesn't struggle too much with mana these days, but the siege potential you can get with that cooldown reduction especially can be incredibly effective, as it's a lot harder to dive now. So it makes a lot of sense to pick up someone with that range. And speaking of range, a bit more of a melee slash range top laner here to give them a bit more control with the Rexar, and there is that Tyrael finally rolling in.
Yeah, Tyrael coming in too. Now we still need a bit of, I mean, we need the damage output for Team 08, for Laubers' team over here. I'm kind of happy that we still have Ty on their side, so in theory we will see later some plays with Zeratul. I don't really think that he's the pick for this particular one, but you have a lot of choices here. You can still go into a couple of auto attackers. We highlighted a few of them. Junkrat is open too, which is interesting since he was banned out very heavily in the last few days of the tournament. But there's our Jimmy, and we got Thrall together with it. Okay.
They're all very interesting here. The potential to follow up potentially with a Sundering after a Sanctification expires. So they have that counterplay if they can time it right. And of course, Reyna going to fill in one of those main damage roles, and of course incredibly synergistic with that Bloodlust. He is hopefully going to be melting anyone who gets in his way here. How do we see the Vikings respond to this? They still need a bit more sustained damage on their own side, and there it is. She's leapt up in popularity with the tower changes. Sylvanas makes her way in.
Sylvanas' last pick, and well, we're gonna get ready. Volskaya Foundry is the first map in this series, so let's jump straight in. Our first map here at the Don't Panic Cup between Team 08, Team Lauber, and the Vikings. Game number 1, everybody, the best of 3 series, starting up the Don't Panic Cup, the birthday tournament over here. And on the left side, Team Lauber, aka Team 08, with Sammy, aka Ty, on Thrall, Lauber on Garrosh, Swamgrotta on Reyna, Rutzo on Zarya, and Galnegulna on Rhaegar. To the right side of the map, the Vikings with Backhult on Tyrael, Max Passion on Rexa, Skogg on Malfurion, Gia on Chromie, and Make on Sylvanas. Immediately the Swedes over here with a tactical pause, by the way, 3-2-3 activated. So, I don't know about you, but I think if you need the tactical pause as the first map starts and we're not even through the gates, that's a pretty bad sign for Team 08, right? We might have to adjust the team name later on into 09, 010, maybe up to 012 as this continues. This is not a good sign, in my opinion.
I mean, it is a toilet break, so at least it isn't a quarantine lag, which has been a consistent thing throughout yesterday's cups as well. So it is we're glad to see that it is just that everyone is rolling back in. Oh man, I have the power to unpause, don't I? So I actually have to do that. Oh, I guess the players can. So
you mean that Ty, who we were apparently waiting for here, is literally, after yesterday's performance, just shitting his pants over here? That is... I mean, dude, I understand if that happens in game 2, 3, or 4, but map number 1? Oh boy. So let's see how he's going to deal with this. Alright, we're starting off here. No tower rush for us, the Sylvanas team, playing it a little safe as they just group up in the mid lane. We are seeing, though, interesting stuff. Rolling Thunder coming in for Thrall, and Maximum Charge for Zarya. Yeah, the Maximum Charge setup has been played a few times already on the blue team side. Swamgrotta really likes it as a level 1 talent. He switched a little bit from the initial style where he went in to feel the heat. And Trolling Thunder, I mean, it is actually a pretty decent talent after the changes, which were like 2-3 patches ago, I want to say. On solo lanes, it can be quite helpful. We've seen it as a reaction to Deathwing on the other side, trying to get not only the poke out to interrupt, for example, channels on a turn-in on Tomb of the Spider Queen or a channel on any other map. But it's not really that common, but we see it every now and then, so it's not really that rare anymore. But here's our first kill.
First part of the cup, we see Rhaegar going down. And I do like the Rolling Thunder here, especially seeing as the main crowd control is going to be Misha. So if you can avoid that one big stun and the root from Malfurion, you do have a little bit more freedom with someone against, like Tyrael, to get that percentage damage off and not have to worry about getting stunned out by, say, an ETC, a Garrosh, a Johanna, who can really punish you for stepping up so aggressively.
Yeah, top side now. Here comes the attack towards the healing beacon with both of the turrets already in the hands of each team. We have an opportunity to get the slight lead here. Who's willing to drop the item first? So far, nobody got flipped though, and there's the kill number 1 against Tyrael.
Turrets both down for both teams. Laubers trying to tank here, and he does take down Marker, who tries to Haunting Wave out. Misha for one last stun, but the body blocks are going to punish the bear as she goes down as well. That's going to be the Healing Pulse picked up in exchange for both turrets for the side of 08.
Yeah, also in addition to that, now of course, still the opportunity later on with Sylvanas to try and push through these structures. After the in-house tournament was over, I actually had a little bit of an interview with the winning team, with Hazu's boys, and we talked a bit about the structures in general, and most of the players actually agreed that they like the changes, generally speaking, that there might have to be some adjustments on certain maps, that some are more impacted than others, especially since with the objective, you're not, or with a lot of objectives on maps, you have more of a problem getting real value out of them. Tomb of the Spider Queen came to mind for pretty much everybody there, that even with the 4th or 5th turn in, you oftentimes don't get as much damage done against structures as you would expect. But players have really started to adapt already to the new tower aggro, but games will be slowed down, and that could eventually bring us to a point where we see some heroes making big splashes that haven't really been top tier picks in the meta yet.
Absolutely. We are seeing also talents that have leapt up in priority. We already started seeing Exterminator jump up with the nerfs to some of the other talents like Ace in the Hole on Reyna, but it's even more important to have minions with you now, because if you can't push, the minions have to do a lot of that tower damage for you. So having that extra wave clear on Reyna especially is fantastic for your pushing potential, and Zarya has finished maximum charge.
Yep. Another thing that actually would be kind of interesting after we have a couple of weeks of data coming in would be to see if maybe a compromise would make sense. So for example, if you push with the boss, that the boss draws more aggro than the actual heroes, no matter what they attack. That would be pretty interesting and empower those a little bit more. And theoretically speaking, you could make the same adjustments also with bruiser camps. It would focus the priority on taking those camps and trying to execute a timing push with them even more. So there's definitely a bit of wiggle room that can be played with if Blizzard has more data to work with and decides, okay, we need to find a solution because now it's a bit too strong. So there's definitely things they could do.
I mean, right now, Siege Giant camps are probably some of the best camps just due to the range advantage, because like you said, bruisers, pushing with them is a lot harder now, same with bosses. So cool to see. 3 kills to 1, already going over to 0-8 as they're trying to hold the point up to 85%, but with the turret in their hands, we're starting to see the Vikings move in.
Yeah, Vikings currently trying to make the play. Mark is in a bit of trouble though, needs to be careful with the Sylvanas. The shields come out from Tyrael, their beacon on the ground, and that should be protector number 1 in the hands of Team 08.
Overtime expires, Rutzau and Lauber get in that protector, and they're going to get ready to push in hard. Remember, these are new and improved towers, but new and improved won't stop the rocket punch as that immediately disables one of them. Look at that damage done to the protector though. Good defense already coming out from the Vikings.
Yeah, rotation to the top now in the attempt to take the fountain down and prepare for objective number 2. But as you said, the damage is definitely there and they can't dive too deep. Make is looking for the output, zoning out the rest of the team. Still the solo laners on the side, but the fountain goes down. And that's pretty much all that you want to do here. Everything else is a big bonus. So they were able to break mostly through the wall in the middle. But there's already a slight adjustment. Instead of just waiting in the middle to completely destroy the wall and then start the rotation, they rotated much quicker towards the top to prioritize that fountain and then just try to destroy the remaining structures in the middle wall on the way back down. And they get pretty much everything, so it's a really good first objective for them.
Utilizing the Zarya shields as well to make sure they could finish off those middle towers without putting anyone in the protector at risk. Very quick capture, very cool to see here. Be cool to see Sylv running with the Lost Souls here again. Very wave clear, heavy composition coming in from the teams, prioritizing getting those minions to assist with their push as level 10s are hit for 0-8. And of course, there's that Bloodlust.
Exactly. Bloodlust is in. Jimmy is going to have quite a lot of fun with that, and also Thrall with the Earthquake. So it's going to be a typical Bloodlust setup here, and I gotta admit, it's kind of fun to see Bloodlust right now. It was always one of the more memey things, but now with the buffs to the talent, it's kind of cool to just see it happen, because you have very aggressive team fights that are just really flipped on the press of a button, quite literally. So it's pretty awesome to see that, especially if you combo heavy auto-attack heroes with it. And it allowed Rhaegar also a bit more wiggle room on the level 13 talent, which we've seen already. Instead having the need to go for the shield so that you get the channel on the Ancestral Healing through, we are seeing now also tidal waves coming through every now and then as a level 13 choice. And I actually think that's going to become the norm.
I can definitely see it, especially with against compositions like the one with this Chromie we're seeing. Haunting Wave to prevent the throw there. Maka able to escape very barely, but Expulsion Zone is burned in the process.
Yeah, of course the ults on the other side are now also in play. That gives us in this case Twilight Dream for Malfurion. And we have the Sanctification for Tyrael. Still need to get it back to a point where we actually get a little bit of judgment action into play. But we're not that meme ready yet.
Still one of my favorite times in just Heroes history is where Hanzo was so overpowered, people started picking Judgment Hinterlands just to kill him. That was a very fun time in history. As we're currently seeing a little bit more defensive positioning from the Vikings right now. They are just over half a level behind, but they're playing it safe, playing their towers. Chromie sieging from a distance, Sylv very fast wave clear in that top lane.
One of the things that I would love to see, even if it's only for the memes, and it's a little bit wishful thinking, I admit, but it would be fun. I don't really think it's going to happen. But the good old days, quotation marks, good old days, where you had on a map like Tomb of the Spider Queen, for example, the Asmodan attempt with him trying to get into the late game. And it was literally the race between the two teams to, can we take keeps before Asmodan is done stacking? Or will they stack beforehand and then start a comeback? So this one team just trying to hold on to life, to survive somehow, and the other team knowing that they're on a timer, that they can't wait into the late game, trying to get the damage out before it happens. That dynamic, to me, was actually a lot of fun. And with those late game setups now, thanks to the towers being stronger and not allowing for these early pushes, I would love to see that at least as a bit of a niche build on some maps again. He's never going to be an S tier hero, but it would be kind of cool to see it as a niche setup for a map or two. But to be realistic, I don't really think it's going to happen. But that's something that I still miss to an extent.
I mean, you're right. It's a cool fort considering how tough the forts and keeps are to push and how a lot of wins these days seem to come from one push where you usually take a keep and then end the game. So, yeah, I could definitely see it, but maybe not in this cup. Speaking of not in this cup, Misha is going to go down as fight over the healing pulse continues. Laubers tries to force forward. Holy ground explosion zone with the counter though, as we see a great Twilight Dream to try and hold it together with the sandblast from Chromie's Sanctification. Keeping Silver alive as she focuses down onto Svamgrotta. Burger forced to back up, and Marker not in a great position here, trying to chase down the root from Skuk, able to save the day.
Really close call there, but everybody getting out of the brawl without a single hero dying. There's still a leading experience for Team 08 as they now move on to the point. Coming back to the Asmodan thing, I honestly think before Asmodan makes it back into the game, we're going to see more Nazebo play, so I think that's wishful thinking. It would be kind of fun though. But yeah, up at the top with even talents, I mean, now they can really fight for it, especially since there's two heroes still at the bottom of the map for Team 08. Sammy, aka Tai, is already sitting there. We have another turret claimed by Svamgrotta, so they need to just move back to the top, try and take this, because they can't really extend it to level 16. They just don't have the time to get the extra talent before they take the team fight.
They also have two turrets and a healing pulse item advantage heavily in their favor. Team 08 gonna push up, force Maka to back up. Burger also takes the long way round. Root comes out from Thrall. A great expulsion zone. Maka not a chance, but the Boars are coming in. They might try and re-engage as they try and focus Sammy.
Yeah, Tai has to be careful here. Once again, on Thrall, heavily attacked by the opponent. They turn around and take Misha down though. And now they have a bit more of a time window where they can start to move on to the point again, which is exactly what they do. And thanks to this brawl and them limiting more minion waves, they are getting now closer to 16. They're already attacking the fort here, and that's a freebie. The kill against Sylvanas was heavily impactful here. They get the fort pretty much through this already, and they have now a level 16 talent dropping into their hands any second, so it should be a really impactful push now coming out of Team 08.
Something fascinating I want to talk about there very quickly is the positioning of Zarya there. Positioning herself very far forward past the keep so that Reyna could continue to siege, because Rutzau, with that unstoppable competitor, had a much better chance of escaping if they caught that fort aggro with that new extra damage that it does. So positioning that far forward, that combined with the Born in battle, those extra shield cooldowns at level 16, means Zarya had a much better chance of escaping, meaning Reyna had a lot more of a free push.
Team moving in down to the bottom, preparing for objective number 3 now already. Trying to take first of all the fountain down, that's an easy exercise, but the fort also falling, that's a big deal. All of a sudden the entire outer line of defense is gone for the Vikings. And Laubers boys are doing incredibly well over here. Apparently they saved up all the big plays and skills for this tournament.
Apparently, it's looking good for them so far. Tidal waves coming in as you predicted earlier on for the Rhaegar here. And we are also seeing Alpha Wolf double percentage damage coming in for Thrall.
Honestly, if they continue that way, I think I have to rename them later on again back into Laubers Fan Club. Team 08, I mean, I'm all for the memes here, but today they're playing way, way better than in the recent tournament.
Absolutely. You're going to give them the name they preferred, the one they chose? Yeah. You're going to give them that if they're able to win a round?
No.
Silence comes out from the wheeling arrow. Thrall's getting pushed anyway.
Yeah, holy ground being used over here. Bloodlust, baby, and here we go. Galne Gul'nan, a little bit of trouble. Rodriga makes it out. Here comes the Sanctification. Asteria is trying to stay alive, but immediately the refocus on Marke. But Lauber himself in trouble too, and Garrosh goes down.
Rutzau is just running it down for Marker there, unable to land the final grenade though as Marker escapes. Now Sammy being chased down, Misha with the stun. There's the cleanse from Rhaegar. Sammy's on the run. Is he going to be able to escape? His escape route's being cut off by Burger and Skug. chasing him down, gets the 3-man route, and Sammy, aka Ty, will be able to escape.
Yeah, I can't wait for the moment when Ty finally locks in his Zeratul again, but oh boy, what a setup against Jimmy. Wow, he got bodied in that encounter. Quick stun from Misha, and then Chromie, our little fake dragon over here, mercilessly bodying him into the ground.
Top lane Maka not having a good time. He's already used Haunting Wave. He's got Evasive Fire, but it can't get him out of roots. As Thrall picks up the kill there, Rhaegar getting the final hit on Galnagun.
I mean, they're fighting back a bit, right? So they get their kills in it. 6 kills against 4. If you think about it, not that crazy of an advantage in kills for a team of 8. But you look at the minimap and it's a very different picture. Makes it incredibly difficult for the Vikings to come back in to this first game of the best of 3 series here.
A total of 3 towers in exchange for 3 forts. It's a slight advantage going over to Team 08 right now, as they're beginning to continue just wiping out these lanes as fast as possible with the help of Zarya's AoE and that Reyna Exterminator at level 1, combined with that Unstable Compound. They are destroying the lanes here. It is going to take a very good objective fight by the looks of it for Vikings to come back. And they do have these big double silence plays with the Twilight Dream and the Wailing Arrow, and they have been good, but so far the splits from 08 have been great, and those silences have only really hit maybe 2 heroes at once.
Yeah, the only advice that I really want to give the Vikings, even though they're a bit behind, is don't panic, guys. Don't panic.
Hey. Happy birthday, bro. As we see the retreat coming out from Rutsao, avoids the holy ground, and will get away this time.
Couldn't resist.
Appreciate it. More to come, I expect.
19.5, heading into the Storm Talons. Yeah, and the objective has just not been announced, so tough times for the Vikings. Going up against the Storm Talon is never easy. If they can pick a quick kill somewhere, that would actually be really helpful. This is the time when you want to get this. Jimmy, he's still fine.
Taunt used just to guarantee the kill onto Misha. A little bit of extra damage, a little bit of extra XP killing off that bear. Tyrael was trying to separate Zarya away so they could try and go for Reyna. Instead, Misha is the one who ends up being punished and gives those Storm tier talents over to Team 08. We're going to be seeing that Titanic Might coming in for Garrosh and Gladiator's Warshout. That 100% duration on Bloodlust.
Yeah, it's a great pick. It's a lot of fun seeing it in the late game stages, but now of course another item to be claimed topside. And well, 20 eventually should actually drop into the hands of the Vikings. They have a realistic shot of fighting for the bottom objective after all. In theory, you can give it up. Again, forts and keeps are now stronger, as are the towers. And even before the changes, third objective rarely ended the game. Usually we're talking about protector number 4, sometimes even leaning towards protector number 5 with it. So there is definitely a chance that you can just easily defend here, but since they still got time, they are making their way down to the bottom of the map to set up the big fight that could really decide a lot in this game now.
Gonna see Burger drops the sword, seeing if he could try and get a holy ground to separate someone out here. Misha on the run, keeping it safe, keeping everyone under control. Also, to clear up some confusion in the chat, prize pool is split 500 for first, 200 for second. That is where everything goes. As we see everyone backing up, playing it safe. They're going to try and defend under keep.
Yeah, they should be able to pull it off, but the keep, I mean, if they can take the keep down, that would be fantastic for the blue team. There's a lot of poke going on, and since they still have Bloodlust available, there's a good chance they're going to get this done. But just look how quickly that protector already falls. Good damage dished out here. Drops them down to 50 very quickly, but the wall is gone, and now the keep is open.
Gonna push forward. They still have the protector. There's the expulsion zone. Feign death for Rexar will save his life here. Here comes the easy cleanse onto Sammy to prevent that temporal loop from Gia. And this protector will be zoned away. Keep takes some damage, but they're able to avoid any deaths. But here come the boars. They might try and turn this with the root onto Thrall. Big shields from Zarya and the expulsion zone to keep Sammy alive. But Max Tash and DPS is going to get turned on though by Laubers. Multi-man taunt, Bloodlust, and they are tearing through. This Sank is simply delaying the inevitable.
Sanked on the ground, Max Passion on the run, Chromie is dead and so is Rexar. It's a triple kill as the red team was trying to chase, but now of course the keep is open. They're looking for a follow-up kill against Backhult and they are about to grab it. 4 heroes down, Mucke the only survivor here, and the keep it is going to get destroyed here. Foregone conclusion. Do they push it further, though? The core ability, of course, is going to be the Rocket Fists, and it can be easily dodged, which is exactly what they're doing. They're stunning out Sylvanas, and this looks like we have a lead in the series for Team 08. I don't really think that they can be stopped long enough for the heroes to respawn and set up a defense.
The Rocket Fist trying to delay, but it's 17 seconds for just about Fury, and not going to happen. No hope coming in here, as it is going to be GG, and Team 08 goes 1-0, and they're going to take game number 1 in this best-of-3 series.
Okay, everybody, off we go. Game number 2 in the best-of-3 series, and, well, I renamed them again. They're not 08 anymore. They actually won a map. I know, I can't believe it either. But here we go, Laubers Fanboys. Why the Fanboys, you ask, not the Fan Club? Because there's tiny changes to the lineup here. But, of course, in essence, it is the same team here. Battlefield of Eternity is our second map. And I'm a little bit hyped for the draft now, especially after it seems that the Laubers team is actually doing much better than in the last 2 days. And a little bit of information for you, Tetra, actually. I had an interview with the winner of the in-house cup, with Watch Hazop's team, and they said that they were more surprised than anybody else that Lauber and his team ended up 0-8 during the in-house tournament, because in scrims they absolutely dominated and had apparently an 11-0 track record, but then couldn't win a single map in the tournament itself. So
sometimes you just have an off day. It feels bad, but sometimes it just happens.
It definitely does. Zarya gets banned out, so we see her, of course, with high priority in the current European meta. She was also a super high pick when it came to Division S playoffs in Europe. But after the last map, I don't really blame them. You don't want to run up against this super powerful 4-man with Zarya.
Being super powerful, Deathwing and Zool both banned out as well. These are very standard in the ban phase these days, just due to the fact that Zool is very powerful, and Deathwing, if you don't have those hard counters like Leoric or someone like that, you can really struggle.
Okay, Liming gets banned out too. Leaves us, of course, with Jimmy for Exterminator up on the map. Also, Vala still an option with the Arrow build. Two of the best heroes for the poke, but Rhaegar, he's the first pick. I guess outside of Banana Age, Rhaegar will always be the priority in supports for now. Banana Age still insane with Ana, but even he leans heavily towards Rhaegar now, depending on the composition they are trying to play here for good reason. Bloodlust is just fantastic at this point.
Bloodlust is fantastic. The AoE healing to try and prevent poke is fantastic. His wave clear is great. He's just solid. But that AoE healing can be prevented by the Ana coming in here, and ETC for some lovely peel, and of course, very heavy wombo combo potential.
Yeah, actually, this setup is pretty sweet, because with ETC you can still control the opponent around the objective. I mean, you buy yourself a little bit more time with the face melts, trying to just distract them from your own immortal, while the rest of the team does damage. And in addition to that, you can attempt the stun into the immortal stun. I'm a bit surprised that they didn't prioritize Jimmy higher, because he is such a priority pick on this map with Exterminator. I mean, he is destroying this thing. So Jimmy gets picked instead by the Vikings. That leaves still a few heroes, Greymane and Vala, open that could be played now by the Fanboys. But which one of those they're gonna take? I mean, time will tell.
Tyrael getting banned out, very sensible. Blaze can really fill in the lack of crowd control Tyrael offers, so those two can go very well together, so a solid ban out here. And like you said, we have all of these race potential heroes. Will we see one of those banned out? We do. That Greymane is taken away by the Vikings.
Yeah, Greymane banned out. Leaves Vala.
Yep, Vala, basically the highest option. You can still Hanzo, but it really's fallen off from the pure heyday of Hanzo race potential.
It definitely has. I mean, there's Hammer, of course, as an option. That's something that mostly Hazops and his boys still picks. I don't necessarily expect it here, even though Sammy has played it in the past, so Sammy is the alternate account of Tai. We get Jaina, so Nananu boosted Jaina together with the lockdown on the other heroes. If you want to go for the team fight more so than the immortal, then I mean, killing your opponent is pretty good when you're trying to fight for the objective. Dead opponents can't lock in an immortal anymore, so there's that.
It's the classic rule of you don't need to heal against a dead enemy team, and you don't need to race against a dead enemy team. Take your time. No need to hurry.
Yeah.
So we see the final 2 picks for the Vikings. They still need a second frontliner. It's going to be Johanna, the classic Johanna Blaze combo. And Chromie comes in for the second time.
All right. Chromie is in the game. And Lauber with the last pick. A lot of poke coming through here. And off we go. Lauber needs to pick. I mean, they can still swap it around. Right now, Swampgotta is actually on ETC. I assume that Lauber is going to take it. But is this going to be a melee-heavy 3-man at the front, or what's it going to be? Alarak, there we go. Swampgotta on his Alarak again. We've seen that a lot on Battlefield of Eternity. And now Lauber likely on ETC. Stage is set, everybody. Game number 2, Battlefield of Eternity. Let's jump in right away. Game number 2, everybody! Laubers Fanboys on the left side with Lulba himself on ETC. Swampgotta as usual on Alarak. We have Rutso on Jaina, Tai on Thrall, and Galnegulna on Ana. And on the right side of the map, the Vikings. Behind by a game. We got Mako on Jimmy, Burger, aka Bergkult on Johanna, Max Passion on Blaze, Skog on Rhaegar, and Gia is playing Chromie in game number 2.
I love Alarak on this map. We've seen it so many times. You mentioned it's played a lot in the draft. The ability to control your enemies around those immortals and push them into stuns. Its style is just ridiculously troll, and for second, incredibly effective when you have a hero like Jaina for that blast follow-up.
Exterminator is in. We see the trolling Thunder top side once more. And in addition to that, the block party. Yeah, against Jimmy, trying to get the additional block out. So on this map, of course, getting those healing globes is a little bit more difficult if you do not win the objective consistently. So no proc rock, but instead trying to counteract Jimmy to an extent.
Swampgotta takes a lot of damage there, got caught by Burger, but is able to back up. Lauber also going to be forced to tap the fountain here, as Maka was given a little bit too much freedom on the upper part of this lane and was able to chase down Lauber after the main disengage was ineffectual.
Yeah, top side, that's where we have still our 1 versus 1. I don't really think there's a lot going to be happening here. I mean, both of them have the sustain on the lane. We just shouldn't see a kill unless there's a rotation. So the main focus will be on the bottom of the map. The only difference could be the moves on the camp. Oh, if that's a kill, they're going to go for the camp right away. They get the kill, Chromie is down. Yeah, the little garden gnome is dead. And immediately they're focusing onto the camp below.
We're also, just I thought I would point out, we can see the teams of this level really making the most of it. We have 2 globe talents in the game, with the Fingers of Frost and the new habits. It is harder to get globes on this map, but these incredibly strong and well-played teams are going to be able to rotate effectively and will stack these up in reasonable time.
Yeah, the top rotation for the camp. So this is kind of what usually happens if you get the kill. You lose the control over the lane and therefore the camp. And the only thing that you can do to react to it is rotate to the other side of the map and try to just outnumber the one-on-one lane to go for the camp. But look at this setup. What coordination. Beautiful kill. This was Jimmy.
It was, but no longer. As he is absolutely taken out. The stuns from ETC followed up by that anti-heal. And then with the Jaina Alarak burst damage, Thrall for that percentage if it is a tank who's locked down. Very few heroes are going to be able to survive this without the assistance of Rhaegar with that cleanse, and he's not getting that for another 3 whole levels. So we are going to have to see the Vikings play a little bit safer to try and stay out of that danger zone.
It's actually pretty impressive. The Fanboys with 2-0 kills now. Both of the teams on level 4. There won't be a talent advantage over the first objective, but this is already a solid beginning for the blue team. The question, of course, is still, can you win the Immortal, yes or no? This is really where it comes down to now. And at least the pressure against the Immortal itself is a lot less. But if they can kill Make again, I mean, this is brutal. Jimmy down for the second time, and now Exterminator is missing for the early stage of the Immortal fight.
Will be down for quite a while. Thrall has some free time as well up in top lane with that number advantage. There's the stun! But with Johanna Ironskin and no Thrall for that percentage damage, Johanna will be able to survive the combo here. But all this time has given Thrall the opportunity to clean out the Fallen Shaman. And as such, he's able to rejoin up with his team and assist Jaina in the race while everyone else zones.
Yeah, so Gotta is now moving in. The blue team is starting to go for the Immortal here, but now that Jimmy is back, it's a bit of a different story. Stun against Rhaegar. On the other hand, Laubers is in trouble and barely getting healed by Galgulnar's Ana as he's trying to retreat here. But the Immortal race is looking very different now. Make, with that level 1 talent on Jimmy, is absolutely destroying that Immortal, and they are actually ahead now.
They've been able to hold it. Double sleep coming out, though. Jaina damage. They missed the silence after Max Passion, but there's still too much damage coming out here. It's the halftime show. Will go over to the Vikings, but losing Blaze here. Going to see Lauber, who's just tapped the fountain, going to come over here to try and zone. Everyone else to try and race. Fangrotta also going to try and zone here. One big stun. And he might be able to delay. Iron Skin will prevent it, though. And the race looks like it still might be won by the Vikings.
Easily. Jimmy is too strong. Jimmy is just too strong right now. You have other tools, of course, to chip in as well. It's not only him. But his output with Exterminator, especially when Inspire is up against the Immortal, is ridiculous. Look at this score now. 7 against 6, level advantage, talent advantage, 4 kills against 0, and they still lost the Immortal. That's how powerful Jimmy is, and they don't have a single hero that excels to the same extent against the Immortal. So, good setup here for the Vikings when it comes to sneaking in the Immortal itself.
They could have taken some slight adjustments here if they had wanted to go for a race. For example, the hammer on for ETC, but that AoE burst that you get from this current build with the Pinball Wizard and the loudspeakers makes a lot more sense to go for that in this case. It does mean, though, they're sacrificing that race. However, luckily, we are under new tower rules here, and no one is willing to push as aggressively, and as such, they're able to defend with over half their fort remaining.
Let's talk about the towers for just a second, because there was a question asked earlier, and I discussed it a little bit in the in-house cup, but I think it's actually a really interesting point. And the question is simply, now that we have the towers in a setup where they're much stronger and the forts are as well, do you think that it would make a little bit more sense for Blizzard to revert the experience changes that came in 1.5 years ago just by a bit? Because you obviously still get some experience for destroying towers and structures, but the way that Blizzard changed it back then is that now you don't get that burst in experience anymore that gives you an immediate lead, but it's mostly centered around the fort being taken down and then passive experience over time increasing for the team that took the structure down. With the towers being this strong and it taking a lot more to actually commit to them and take them apart, I really think that Blizzard could increase the experience you get for the destruction of a tower by quite a bit. You don't have to necessarily make it so that you get an insane boost, but I feel that right now the balance between how difficult it is to destroy a wall and how little you get out of it should be shifted slightly.
I completely agree. I think it can definitely be shifted, seeing as the fact that now you are kind of punished a little bit for pushing. Yes, you get those towers and you can get the XP from them, but you are losing out on potential minion soak with the fact that you can get zoned away by enemy towers because they do too much damage. So seeing that good cleanse on Maka here, trying to go for the run, body box. Nice knockback, he'll get away. But yeah, being able to go under towers is a lot harder now, so you can miss these XP globes if you can't clear the lanes with your abilities and autos. So having the ability to soak the XP a little safer under these towers, which will allow people to play more aggressive, will, I think, make for more interesting solo lanes.
We've dealt 10 in, and of course, Moshpit is there again. The question for me is simply, what do we get on the other side? I assume that it's once again going to be Reyna's Raiders, but we've seen a bit more Hyperion play, especially from Quacknix's team in the in-house tournament, which I liked a lot, depending on the map, of course. For this one, probably not really the best, unless you really think you're going to lock in the Immortal and you want to go for a super powerful push together with it. The problem that is just becoming incredibly transparent here for the Vikings is that the Fanboys are just massively ahead in teamfight control. They have 6 kills against 0, and if they can keep control on Jimmy, they will start to win these objectives. But as you can see, Mak is coming in with Jimmy again. They might not win this one. Lauber is actually zoning Jimmy out in particular now, but it's still quite a bit of damage that they can do to reduce the shield.
Making the most of this prog rock. Counter-Strike is used as Fangrutus able to get away here. Moshpit used, but immediately interrupted as the blood is going to come in. Lauber getting focused down. And Max Passion zones everyone else away with the bunker. ETC taken out, full cooldown on that mosh pit. However, the chase continues. Garnagut are in serious trouble. Nowhere to run here with the Condemn and the Sandblast. Chromie completes the stacks and picks up the kill.
Finally 2 kills for the red team. They waited a long time for this to finally come through. Another one as they're trying to set it up. The Immortal is already up at the top lane and the camp is pushing in at the same time. But Svamgrotta is getting attacked heavily here. Trying to get out Rega, attempting to get past Blaze so that he can't jump in. But instead they're trying for a tie. They get him. The stun doesn't connect either. And Svamgrotta gets away. Jimmy in the meantime has dealt with the Immortal up at the top. Yeah, and here another really good indicator of this tower thing that we talked about earlier. It's so much more difficult now to take a fort down. Even destroying towers is much more tricky. A bit of an experience gained through the tower destruction compared to what we experience right now would probably be warranted. I mean, this is another objective that they took and they were barely able to draw even an experience with their opponent, and they're not going to get anything out of the passive experience up to the point where they finally take the fort itself down, which is incredibly difficult now.
Very true. Very true indeed. Just as a little heads up, we've been seeing Jaina just dropping Water Elemental consistently outside team fights, which is fine to do. She used it already once on the Immortal race, which was what allowed them to actually win that Immortal race, and she used it once to try and save Svamgrotta, but he was still sniped away in those fights, and as such, did go down, was not able to finally escape in the end. He's already back though, and so is Water Elemental. It's a ridiculously short cooldown.
12 versus 12, 13 talents. Next on the menu, here comes the setup. They're taking the camp. Alarak moving in from the side, but not getting any combo connect yet. But again, this is a little bit of a powder keg. This could explode any second. You overstep for just a moment and those setups will be ready. But the Immortal has also been announced. Chances are that we're going to see that fight break out over objective number 3.
Seeing Vikings heading back up to top lane in the meantime, though. Both teams trying to race towards level 13. Brawl soaking in the bottom lane for Laubers Fanboys. And they are also able to pick up their Fallen Shaman. Still a timer on that, though, for the Vikings. Oh, Time Trap spots the Alarak. They're going to try and push it. Great blessed shield! And with the Bloodlust as well, Svamgrotta goes down. An easy double kill for the Vikings. And they may have just bought themselves a halftime show, maybe an Immortal. Yeah,
they should get the Immortal at this point. Again, Jimmy is already ridiculous against the Immortal as is. But now they have a 5 versus 3, and it was, yeah, you're absolutely right. It was incredible lockdown here. Bot lane has to be defended. That's not a problem for them either with Max Passion in position. But there's a reshifting on the Immortal, and now they can easily claim this one.
Gonna burst their way through. Immortal gonna be taken out. A 100% shield Immortal. Gonna grab at those globes. ETC not in the best spot here. Max Passion not in position for a follow-up. They're not gonna try and go for the burst. Don't want to risk that turnaround mosh pit. It might still happen though, as Earthquake is dropped. Lauber is pushing forward, waiting for the CC to be used so he can mosh pit. Just being very patient with it as they try to get onto Johanna, who's already burned Iron Skin. If they can time it well, they might get her, but no. Disengaging Blessed Shield will shut that down.
And everybody else is now moving down to the bottom of the map, where the fort is already falling very quickly. This one is going to be a given, but look at the Vikings. They're starting to push in. They're trying to get more out of it, and why wouldn't they? This is the 3rd objective in the game. We're 12 minutes deep, so at least the wall needs to fall here. And they are pushing in with the entire 5-man. Chromie already has her next talent, is ready for the Shifting Sands, and is firing away from the backline.
They still have to be careful though. Mosh Pit is still available. There's always that turnaround potential. Good telekinesis with that tower damage as well. Maka gets chonked as they burn through the Shield of the Immortal. Be moving into melee mode, but they're still very limited on their race potential. Trying to see the best they can for Bloodlust. We're going to see the dive coming in here, but with the great retreat, it's going to shut down the hard push here. Blaze going to try and turn it. Though as Laubers tries to disengage from Svamgrotta successfully. And Max Passion is forced to back up.
Super important now to really play around that aggro, maybe poke a little bit more, and the keep is about to fall. The problem is that Jimmy is also dead, but the keep is nearly eliminated and finally goes down as the Immortal is hitting that last hit against the structure.
Oh, the 3-man Time Trap shuts down a re-engage attempt before level 16, and as such, that is the keep acquired, losing Reyna, but the value from that keep, those catapults, that XP over time, as you called about earlier, is just is so valuable for the Vikings here. They have managed to put themselves in quite a strong position.
Yeah, now the top side also has to be defended. This is why we are seeing the red team trying to immediately move in for it, because nobody has actually reacted to it yet, so it's additional damage to the fort. Backward is not really willing to overstay there too long. He knows about the risks, obviously. So instead, we see them try and aim for the camp. But Ty is moving in, gets stunned out. He's still aiming to push forward. But he really needs to retreat here, especially with Backhold coming in from the side. And he has the blessed shield up. There's the trap, and he doesn't even have to use his ult to secure the kill with his boys.
Easy temporal loop, no cleanse on that Ana, so easy kill onto Thrall. Bot lane, absolutely getting bodied. However, Maka is here, and he's actually going to be able to save this. Minions will stop the camp from pushing, and Maka ignoring the wave clear. He's coming in for the aggro, looking for the kill here as Burger. The less shield onto basically just some Grotta here, as Laubers comes in for the disengage. We have not seen an effective mosh pit so far all game. Could they try and turn it now?
Jimmy, and Maka, he drops again the Hyperion, but he falls. The counter kill against Alarak is in on the other hand. Bot lane still getting pushed a little bit in favor of the blue team, but only by the smallest of margins through the camp. But over here, the red team is of course looking for more, looking for the next kill, trying to go for Ty. Rhaegar still in a bit of trouble, maybe. Drops the healing totem, should be fine. Laubers looking in from the side, but here comes the kill against the doggy. And the Pocket Chihuahua is eliminated as they're trying to focus the attention onto Max Passion, and they get the double kill.
Skog with a massive overextension there. He was looking for Ana, looking for Khaldor. Gets absolutely punished doing so. He was one shot, one Feral Lunge away, but he overextended, gets himself locked down, and is punished. 23 seconds till he is back. And Blaze going down, trying to save him, giving Laubers Fanboys a position where they can try and contest this. They do also still have their Fallen Shaman camp available for both teams, and they're just going to try and race this. However, Reyna is alive, and they have to defend top lane as well, so they're in a bit of a rough position when it comes to map control.
Yeah, Alarak had to rotate up and deal with it, and he did by now. They didn't lose too much there. It's nearly an even halftime show. We have a 5 versus 5 backup on the map, but Blaze isn't here yet for the fight, and ETC is trying to capitalize on this, already moving in for this. Yes, the kill though. Thrall is down.
Bloodlust has been used. They're going to try and fight this. Counter-strike comes out. Not too much damage. Jada is nano boosted, but completely locked down and zoned away. Moshpit is interrupted by Johanna. Jada taken out by Blaze, who had a beautiful zone there. Laubers on the run. Khaldor in a not good position at all. Laubers won't be able to save the day here. The speed boost, though. Laubers might not need to save the day. Khaldor getting himself out. Demoralizing shout coming in here. Khaldor, Laubers with the stun. Can they get it? One condemn, and Khaldor goes down. Laubers is focused. Will the hammers nearly finish him off? He gets away with very little health, but he gets out of there. The opposing presence attempt to prevent that kill was unsuccessful.
Insanely close to the defense here, and he barely gets away. 10 kills against 10. This is really going down to the wire. The Vikings trying to force the final map out of the series, moving into the keep, taking the second one. Not a single main structure destroyed on the red team side as they are obliterating everything here. Gia has been starting to take the Immortal down, now even attacking. Thrall gets the Earthquake out, trying to turn it against Gia. Not gonna happen. Rest of the team is jumping in too, and the immediate destruction of Rhaegar's team. Laubers is trying to come back into this and start a comeback.
Johanna down too. They're looking good, making the most of this block party. They're trying to chase forward, preventing that damage from Raider as they look for Blaze. One more kill. Sammy is picking up huge damage, but Khaldor, Ana, well known for her wave clear, has been left at home to try and deal with these catapults.
I can only imagine the screams in voice. Team! Team! It's like, yeah, just clear them. Just take care of the catapults. He's like, team! It's amazing, by the way, that the core lost all the shields but didn't even lose a single hit point here.
They are so lucky. The poison, one less poison tick and that catapult would have hit the core. It wouldn't have been too much damage, but they are very lucky. Finally, Roots out. Looking at one at home. Gia. Oh, one lightning! One lightning! Yeah!
Oh, the hit is there. They are getting kill after kill. That's 4 kills in a row right now, and they got the Immortal, so at least they prevented the worst. But it is amazing to me that the Fanboys are actually still in this.
They're holding it spectacularly right now. We're going to see Sammy positioning far forward to begin working on this Immortal. It is still quite a low shield with the help of Jaina. They are probably going to be able to clear this before it does too much damage to the core. Atarak's even going to make it up there. However, here's the problem. Bloodlust is up. 4 members pushing into the core. If they don't do enough damage, the Immortal might weaken the core enough for the rest of the members of the Vikings to just do a Hail Mary go face play and just try and race the core.
they're trying to split right now, and they have to. And they actually zone them out at the bottom. The thing is also, of course, that the core defense itself is actually quite strong on this map. Those frozen circles that you get on Infernal Shrines and on Battlefield of Eternity are pretty powerful. If you are fighting an opponent that's trying to defend the core, you're more or less forced into those freeze circles, especially with the heroes that we see on the other side. We have Alarak for the displacement, we have ETC for the same thing. So it's tricky. It's really a big risk to try and do that. You might still be successful, but without a sanctification, I would be careful too.
It's very true. And as such, Laubers Fanboys were able to defend here. With Chromie being down, they prevented that rush, cleaned out the Immortal again before any damage is done to the core, and they've bought themselves enough time for level 20 to hit for them as well. Storm tier talents available for everyone here. We're seeing a Bolt of the Storm. Lauber really wants to finally try and get a mosh pit here. Hasty bargain coming in for Alarak. Nothing for Thrall. I would likely expect Earth Shields, if not Windrush, to escape any hard engages.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky to hold this now, because you have camps pushing on every lane. They let the waves push out so that they can safely take all of this apart, which is really what they need to do, and then take their own camp late. That's going to be very important. They will be on a timer once that we are getting into the next objective fight, and they need a quick fight. They need a quick fight, and if the Vikings play it smart, they're just going to delay, slow it down, wait for the catapults to finally push through, and then make their play when someone is sent back to defend the core.
Yeah, they have Reyna, they have the ability to race down Immortals. They can take their time, all they need here. And that looks like exactly what they're going to do. They grab their Fallen Shamans, 5 seconds till the Immortal. We do see Laubers Fanboys. They've captured their own as well, and they do delay it to try and get some value. They haven't even taken a fort yet. They have to, like you say, take a very quick fight and then just run down the core as fast as possible, but also they have to be concerned about the double Mercenary camp in top lane now, which is why you can see them playing so aggressively.
Top lane is terrifying. Top lane is absolutely terrifying. You have catapults pushing in. Thankfully, that catapult gets an F for effort, attacking the middle instead of going straight up for the core. So that guy should lose his driving license. That's not how you do that. But we have the first one here, and that's actually Thrall taking only the catapults down, letting the rest push in. It's the only thing they can do. Take the catapults apart, rotate up, and try and force that fight in the middle of the map to decide the big battle in your favor.
That catapult's been listening to Reddit's opinions on towers and just focusing them down so they're not problems anymore, ignoring the core completely. One catapult still left here. It's already beginning to blast away at the Shield's Fallen Shaman camp, holding everything back. Someone will have to deal with this. How long can Laubers Fanboys delay this? Finally, we're going to see Thrall go back. Is he going to be able to stop the shield? Catapult's still hitting the core there. There we go. Saves the shield again, unless these range minions can get some damage. They do, 1%.
99%. And only because Ty didn't attack the attacking catapult first.
Bloodlust.
Yeah, Bloodlust used to the bottom as they're trying to jump into the fight. Here comes Hyperion, everybody going arrrr as they're trying to hit the ults here. Moving in, but we still don't see that mosh pit coming through. Lauber is looking for the opportunity, but he doesn't find it. And the red team is simply disengaging.
The nano boost was used. They will not have that for the main damage. Laubers in a little bit of trouble here, being forced to back away. Skoog escaping near death as well, able to get out of there. But all of this, even though it was a lot of heroics used for the side of the Vikings, it still comes out in their favor because there's still more catapults accumulating in this top lane. The fact that none of them died means they can try this again. Thrall, Lauber trying to zone away. Johanna successfully gets Burger out of there for now, and with Ironskin down, they will have to wait even longer.
And the big problem is obviously also that on the objective they're also losing. It's all about Jimmy right now. What the blue team needs is a kill, and they're trying to get it against Blaze at the bottom of the map, but the damage just isn't there right now, and the shields are falling. We're 22 minutes into the game. We are talking Winian territory right now, and this double catapult setup is starting to do some serious damage to the core. Core is falling quickly over here, and Thrall is sent back again, which will allow the Vikings to try and move in to take this fight with a 5 versus 4.
That's what they do. Johanna takes the damage from Svamgrota, but it doesn't matter. Burger may even look for a fight here. They know Thrall's not here. Blessed Shield comes out, but they are able to disengage very effectively. Gotta go with the turnaround. They're going to try and get it. Lauber moves in, but he bolts away. Here comes the Bloodlust using for disengage here as Max Passion drops the bunker, but it's going to be Alarak who falls.
Alarak goes down. No more sadism for him here either, so that's a setback. 78% on the core. They need this Immortal. They need to win this. They need to commit to it. There's no other way. They can't go back. Oh, the mosh pit. And can they get the kill? Not even now.
Temporal pulls them back in. Lauber and Sammy backing up. We see Jada fall. That's all the damage. There's 3 catapults, soon to be 4, heading in for the core. And with only Lauber and Sammy left, Lauber, no mana, getting chased down here. Sammy may get Gia, but it's not going to make a difference if the core goes down to the Immortal here. Sammy, though, Burger comes in for the assist. Percentage damage isn't enough. He's out of health. No regen coming in. He will quickly sustain, turns it with the Ancestral, but Indestructible shuts down that extra chase. But now he's zoned away from his base. The core's being rushed down. So many catapults. That looks like it might be it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be it. We're going to see a 3rd map in this series. Nicely done by the Vikings, fighting their way back into the best of 3 here. Nicely done, and GG as Battlefield of Eternity ends in favor of the Vikings. I mean, guys, here we go. Game number 3. It comes down to the final map in the best of 3 series in the tournament. We got the Fanboys against the Vikings, and it's a 1-1. Next map, Infernal Shrines, and yeah, off we go. So the Vikings not rolling over and simply saying, nope, we're not going to lose out on this series. We're going to actually advance here. And yeah, Infernal Shrines, I'm actually pretty happy for that, because we should see a very different draft from what we've seen in the first 2 games.
I am very excited, like you say, very different style of map. No mortal racing, it's all about the AoE here. We'll see if that keeps up as we see Mephisto as the first ban here. Fantastic on that objective. It's a very tight enclosed space, which means Mephisto can just absolutely wreck fools.
Marke is just annoying on that hero and gets banned against it. My question was Zarya. Where does Zarya land? Where does Rhaegar land? I actually think if a team starts to lock in Rhaegar plus Tyrael, they have a great position here. Infernal Shrines is just fantastic for that. Jojo, of course, excels too. You can have a Leo set up with it. So there are options, and Jojo gets actually banned out, so no eternal retaliation value with the Condemn on the Shrine, but that also puts the priority much higher now on Tyrael himself.
Zul has also been ignored so far in this draft. For the first time he's been allowed through as Zarya is taken away, but now we have Tyrael, we have Zul, we have Rhaegar. All of these high priority heroes are available. What is the highest priority pick for Laubers Fanboys?
Yeah, that's going to be a bit wild now. There are too many good options. With the ban on Zarya and Johanna, that definitely shifted the priority list that we had in the past few days in this patch. So Zul up, and he gets the first pick. So they have the rotation, and his wave clear is nuts. It's absolutely insane. But here we go. Greymane and Rhaegar. They have to deny Tyrael with this. They can't allow it through.
Yeah. The insta-lock on those as well. Also, Tyrael and Zul is a great combo anyway, so I agree. They're gonna have to pick that up here. The double dog lane is too scary when they're fighting inside that sanctification. But what else do they run with it? With Tyrael available, what is the priority to fill in as well? Maybe a Blaze, and with that more hard crowd control we talked about earlier.
I'm actually a bit surprised that we did not get the Rhaegar and Tyrael combo together, but instead Greymane. Greymane is of course great and you want to have him with it, but I think you can replace him with other heroes in a similar setup. But right now, Medivh on the other side for Svamgrota, and that's pretty solid.
Unless it's a shit version of Juice Pirates just using Bloodlust with the Medevac.
I doubt that with the new mechanics we're going to see that anytime soon. It would be funny.
Agreed.
But yeah, this is going to be much harder.
Reyna respectfully banned out. He's been really dominant in the last couple games. Medivh, Zul, Malfurion on the board. That Zul is going to be very hard to deal with. Laubers Fanboys in a good position there. What do they want to remove? Are they going to take out that Tyrael? You mentioned stealing it away. Is it just worth the easy ban here?
They have to. I don't think they can allow that. They ban Maiev, they leave Tyrael open as an option, and Bakul plays Tyrael. If it isn't Garrosh, it's Tyrael, 100% here. I would be surprised to see any other tank at this point. That is a glorious setup for them. Now, there is, of course, a ley line on Medivh's side, so you gotta respect that. Yeah. So you need to control Medivh a bit. Is that something that deters them enough? I don't think so, but I guess time will tell.
Gonna be finding out. The time for the picks has expired. They do go Garrosh. Tyrael is ignored, and they bring out Yrel as their solo lane here. Someone who can be a bit more disruptive onto Zul, and of course can benefit from even when he gets up to speed. can drop that Ardent Defender and stay alive through fights.
I mean, as I said before the pick came in, Garrosh would have been the other alternative. It's really down Backhold's wheelhouse, but they seem to really just say, okay, Medivh is on the other side, let's play something where we can get more of a pick, throw into the back line, get the taunt through, and we see Tassadar!
Baby.
For the first time, the new Tassadar gets played.
Tassadar as solo ranged assassin, Medivh as a sort of support for that, with the Malthael Zul. Zul to take up that tank role. Like you said, new Tass in for the first time in this tournament. What are they going to do to deal with it? What do the Vikings pick to deal with the new High Templar?
Yeah, it's going to be a bit wild here. Last pick, Gul'dan. More orcs, more wave clear, more damage, and most importantly, having the Horrify available is going to be great for them. And with that, we're entering game number 3, the final map in the best of 3 series. So guys, let's jump into it. Infernal Shrines without further ado. Game on, everyone! Final map, Infernal Shrines, and we have on the blue team side, Ty, aka Sammy on Malthael, Gul'dan Malfurion, Lauber on Zul in the front mainline position with Rutzo on the new Tassadar, and Svamgrotta on Medivh. Towards the right side of the map, the Vikings with Max Passion on Urel, Makke on Greymane, we have Backhult on Garrosh, Skogan and Gia is playing Gul'dan for the red team.
We're starting off with the Psy Infusion, which gives me hope that we could see Black Hole another first time here in the later stages once we hit that level 10. We're also seeing Dauntless. Now, interesting fact here, that physical armor, as long as it doesn't specify against hero basic attacks, does affect towers. So Urel getting that 50 armor, physical armor for 2.5 seconds will protect her and allow her to go much more aggressive under these new towers.
And this is going to be super interesting if that affects the play. If that's a conscious choice where they're saying, okay, we're going to attempt to use her in that fashion, or if it's just something where they say it's an extra layer of defense for her, but it's not specifically to change the playstyle of the composition that they are playing right now.
Very true. Just gives them that little bit of extra juggling in between that and Garrosh if they do push in, but we'll see if it does change the play style. And of course, we'll be keeping an eye on Psy Infusion for Tassadar as well. No longer a stacking talent as it used to be, now is just a mana sustain here. As Lauber yeeted back into his own lane, as Burger's going to be forced to retreat a bit. The Skeleton's going to do a bit too much damage and force him to back up.
And we're also going to keep an eye on Medivh and the baseline, currently sitting on 5 stacks. If we've seen anything in the in-house tournament, then it was some insane Medivh plays, and some of those players literally just deciding the game in favor of their team with all the portals, the engages, the saves that they had through shields, and providing an escape path. So there's a lot of focus on this combo with Tassadar and Medivh right now.
Very excited to see. They have so much map control now, just with these heroes, with those two heroes alone. The Leyline Seal, as you said, is 100% a fight turner just anytime it is dropped, and Tassadar's new basic ability Force Wall is giving them so much objective control. It's going to be fascinating to see. Garrosh, doesn't matter how fast he engages you, if he hits a wall, he ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, also, when you're looking over towards Gul'dan, we have against that Fell Flame build. We've seen that a few times now coming in. But here comes the level 4. Electric Fence is in, dealing a little bit more damage. I already made my Trump jokes, by the way, even in the old version of Tassadar, build that wall, baby, and now there's another reason to just deploy that guy. Nobody builds walls faster than Tassadar.
It's true. Can confirm. It costs very little mana as well, so won't even have to pay too much for it. Feels good.
You won't even have to let Mexico pay for it. Exactly, it pays for itself. Absolutely fantastic.
And a freedom coming in for Urel. I don't know those brutes.
So much freedom.
So much freedom. Perfect. Can't get freedom from a wall though, as we're gonna see the top lane getting cleaned out. Fallen Shamans for both teams. Malthael is up here. But gonna play quite safe.
Tetra, what if we call it the freedom wall?
I don't think we can do that. We're gonna see. We're gonna see Sammy.
Freedom makes everything better. Freedom makes everything better. Even a wall.
Nothing says freedom like stay out. We're gonna see way. Lauber does route onto Garrosh as we see the objective very quickly being taken by the huge AoE that Tassadar does offer. And that is going to be, by the looks of it, let's see a very quick rotation. First objective going over to Laubers Fanboys.
What I really like, though, is that rotation towards the top and ignoring the objective. I mean, you already highlighted a little bit, but I really like this because we've seen it for multiple teams in the recent few days. Because with an extra layer of defense, the early Punisher isn't supposed to do a lot of damage. So it can, of course, still happen if you misplay, but generally speaking, you shouldn't lose more than the wall if so. So if you go for a counter push, you're normally in a position with a hero like Greymane to do enough damage to compensate for giving the objective itself up.
This build for Tassadar, I'm starting to think it might actually be a black hole build. That makes me very excited. The Scion Fusion plus Psionic Echo gives you incredible AoE, which you can combo with the black hole to just have a massive damage output. And with that anti-heal from the Malthael, that may be what we see. Zul, by the way, going for a pretty standard old-style build, as opposed to what we did see sneak in a little bit upon some of his talent changes with a more Q-based build for many slows and anti-healing in the later game.
Yeah, Jailer setups have been really, really popular, but if you play him, of course, in that main tank role, it's really sustainability that you're looking for with the Harvest Vitality and Grim Scythe. So there's a lot of a setup that you're really looking for where you just try and sustain himself. And honestly, you can't kill that fucker at all if you're in a team fight and he just keeps slicing and just healing himself. Yeah, if you have a few supports behind it and you look at the Medivh that can also, when worst comes to worst, simply drop a shield on him, it's insanely difficult. Stuns are, of course, great to counteract that. That's where the taunt comes into play. That's where Horrify is going to play a huge role. But it can be very different to go through that in a proper setup.
True, and it absolutely does not help that there's 3.5 melees on the side of the Vikings as well. So if he can time these cleaves well and get this turnaround play, especially if the enemies are trapped in by, say, I don't know, a force wall, then Zul is going to be unstoppable in these fights. Speaking of unstoppable, Sammy isn't. He's going to be tossed away from his base, but the ley line is dropped and he will escape. Great disengage there by Sammy with the assistance of Swamgrotta.
Yeah, ley line only on Rhaegar. Feels bad, man. Also, now with the black hole... Yeah, we have it.
I'm so excited. Black Hole Twilight Dream. Ooh, that sounds like a wombo I'm going to enjoy.
Well, top side. Also, by the way, damage output. Not really a lot of brawls that we had yet, but Tassadar walks for now away with the top siege damage in that game for his team, I might add. We have still Gul'dan having a little bit more that he can bring to the table here. Not a lot in terms of hero damage, but that is kind of normal if you consider that they gave the first one up. And this is actually the first kill. 6.5 minutes in, Malthael goes down. And that's kill number 1. The Horrify and the Bloodlust as they are trying to chase.
Root comes down, poisoned over for the attempt to turn around. Laubers in a 1v3 right now because he can. Drops through the portal the wrong way. I don't think he looked where that portal ended before he went through. Gets the Force of Will, though. He will disengage. In the meantime, Max Passion is 1v2 in the backline. Drops a great Ardent Defender and blocks the Twilight Dream. Jukes masterfully and pieces out.
It's actually kind of insane that nobody else died. We had the early kill against Malthael and then Bloodlust set up, and everybody still made it out. I mean, Zul could have died there, but of course he has that sustain and uses it right away. They were chasing heroes. As we said, the ult on Yrel actually blocked the Twilight Dream, so there was, unfortunately for Malthael, just that small gap between the two, or he could have tried to shut her down completely. But that gives easy access to the Fanboys on the Shrine, who, as we said before, actually lost the hero before this started.
Yeah. The objective hadn't started yet, so he had the time for the respawn at this early stage of the game, and as such, it's able to have a lovely time, just easily gets his way back in. And they are looking good to take this, 34-0. No one's going to contest this, immediately heading into lanes for experience. Medivh does see Greymane doing this Impaler camp as well, so they know exactly what's happening, and they know if they want to, they can be a bit slower with this objective and time it if they want to, and they are going to leave it at 39.
Yeah, leave it for now. 8 minutes in and we only have a single kill. It's really interesting. I mean, both of the teams are playing very, very cautious right now. But down to the bottom of the map, camps are, of course, being focused again. We have on the bottom left side already the Khaldor camp getting attacked. As Tassadar is starting to move in, the red team is trying to take care of the camp all the way down at the bottom. Marker with Greyman is easily claiming this. Nobody rotating towards him yet. And Sammy is going to try and get them the objective as Max Passion is finally forcing the action. Moving in with Urel and saying like, boys, either you go for it now or we're going to take it. They got level 13 already, so they're trying to use their talent to burn this down a little bit quicker.
Arcane Punisher used to be the most powerful. Now, not so much for us Punisher because of disabling abilities is the most powerful. So we do see Lauber in a little bit of a rougher position, but we'll just very quickly drop the root, and they're actually going to chase down Urel a bit, who has to drop the Ardent Defender to back up.
Yeah, once again, here comes the next setup already. We're having the mid lane for, the Fountain Fall, but it comes back to the same point that we discussed earlier. Objectives don't do as much damage anymore now that we have the new tower mechanics in. With all the focus. So we are still looking at even experience. We have even structures on the map. We had 2 objectives already won by the Fanboys, but they couldn't quite get as much out of them as they would hope. Now, granted, we are still kind of early-ish in the game. We've not crossed the 10-minute mark, but still, definitely notable that games will in the future take a bit more time. Which generally speaking, by the way, I really support. I really think having an average game time increase of 2-3 minutes is fantastic. We've been advocating for this for a long time, especially in the competitive scene.
I definitely don't mind it. Of course, it can make tournaments like this one run quite long, but very much okay with it. We're going to see Shadow Walk for Tassadar, who did delay that all the way until level 14, just really weighing up the options here, whether he needs that escape tool. Decides to go for it in the end.
AKA reading talents on the new hero, yeah.
I don't know what you mean. That's what we see a lot of
intentionally delaying it until 14 because he doesn't know what the talents are. No,
what's this do?
just kidding, of course.
We're gonna see Urel speeding away, gets himself out of danger, no trouble here. Sammy does take the portal, seeing if he could get a punishment, instead just uses it at the time to mount up and head up to top lane for XP.
Yeah, Rapid Harvest, by the way, now into... there's a Horrify! Beautiful flip and the ley line save. It's incredible. He survives again. That was such a good play from the Vikings, but Medivh just ruins the entire thing.
Medivh has been absolutely insane in this game. We've only seen 1 black hole so far. Haven't seen any huge impactful moments from that, but the Force Walls have mostly been used to control areas. We haven't seen any great separations yet, but Rootsau in a position to maybe get one here. Drops a Side Storm. There's the Root Bloodlust being used again as a disengage by Skoog as Max Passion comes in for the back marker. Gets hit by the Poison Nova. Last right, see you later, Garrosh. And that's going to force the disengage, but nowhere to disengage. Black Hole forcing out the Ardent Defender from Urel. They try to lock it down. Root comes from over the wall. Can they chase it? Unable to do so. The fort too much damage as we see the Force will expire.
Still only kill versus kill. Level 16 talents a little bit quicker in the hands of the blue team. Now the Psychic Shock over here deals the damage a lot faster, and it comes into play right away as Urel goes down. Tassadar with the 2nd kill for the Fanboys.
Only 3rd kill of the game. Good lord. But great use of the Force Wall of Electric Fence there to completely shut off the escape of Urel. She'd already used her Ardent Defender, stayed too long, and was punished as such.
And there's a couple of really nice things for them now. First of all, Tassadar is really starting to ramp up the hero damage after the last few fights. And thanks to the timing of the kill against Urel, they actually have access to another objective super easily. The only thing that the red team can do is try to play around it by attacking the top side, taking first of all their own shaman camp and attempting to push onto the fort with it. I am personally a bit surprised that there's no reaction whatsoever from the blue team, because again, you don't really want to trade, and do you really do enough damage with a 12-minute Punisher to break through your opponent's keep? It's a little bit questionable.
They're going to try it. If they can get Urel down in the spot lane, they might be able to turn it into value, but Hand of Freedom, Max Passion pieces out. Like you said, though, it is a Frost Punisher. This is their one real chance to get value, but it looks like they might just use this to grab forts and towers, as Malthael will finish out mid lane. Oh, here we go. They are sending everyone except Medivh into the spot lane, and they've stopped the port. Medivh stops the port of Greymane, which will remove a lot of this anti-immortal damage.
Top camp is still pushing, by the way, so the blue team is also going to lose a bit more there. Medivh isn't here. The wall falls, but as everything's said and done, this is a trade of a keep wall against a fort and even probably a top tower. So that wasn't really a big deal in favor of the Fanboys. The defense top side would have been probably the smarter choice before they then finally push with their own Punisher bot side.
They've opened up a bottom lane keep, but they haven't been able to finish off said keep. And it will be a while until the next objective spawns there, which means they will be relying purely on force of wills and minions if they want to capitalize on a one team fight and push in that lane. Meantime, though, it's just going to be the Fallen Shaman campus. That's all they really have on the map right now. Everything else is captured. Going to be in the top lane, which is where the next objective will be, but they've got plenty of time for that.
It is the final map in the best of 3 series. You can really tell that both of the teams are very cautious. They don't want to simply make a mistake in a rotation, walk into the wrong bush by accident, and then lose a hero and be shut down here. Only 3 kills in a 14-minute game. It's actually very rare for Heroes of the Storm these days. So it should be an interesting one once we get to the later game Punishers, because the next 2 shrines will be heavily fought over since these bad boys start scaling, and since the top one is the next one coming up, the keep would be very much so exposed on the side of the blue team if the Vikings lock that one in.
We do know the result from the other game, but we'll keep it out of our talking for the VOD's sake. As we do see Burger just being completely scouted. He is the biggest threat right now. Medivh just hovering above Garrosh at all times.
20 any second now. That's of course a big question right now. Can the red team get their level 20 in time for the objective? So far they're still a level behind. The Storm Talents will be ready for the Fanboys for the topside push, and they might use it to try and take that fort down. If not that, then at least destroy the fountain if they can get access to it, so that they have a more equal position fighting over the top. But now on level 20 we actually have Kala's gift right in. Spelled my name wrong, by the way. And for the extra spell power, which is an insane talent, by the way. This thing is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. 20% spell power in a team fight. Hello.
Each nearby allied hero, which in this case will be 4 most likely. He's unlikely to get the full 20%, which will only equal a solid 16%. Just only 16% hero power. How bad could that be? We also have Medivh cheats and picked up early, not a reactionary pick this time. No one can stop death has been taken by Malthael. Not wanting to take the risk, just picks it up, doesn't wait, just in case he is picked off on the map.
Bottom camp is getting, by the way, timed, so that's the big advantage that the blue team now has. If they take this at the right moment, they will make it very difficult for the Vikings to defend the bot lane without having to sacrifice the top Punisher. So it's a very smart move by the Fanboys. Rotation is already underway. Max Passion, does he have enough time? He doesn't seem like it, and Sammy is actually still sitting there. So Ty might even push out another lane just to put even more pressure onto the bottom keep, as Medivh is sniffing out where the rest of the team is to ensure that nobody gets ganked on the rotation towards the top.
I realized some shit at maths. Tassadar counts himself in his color, so yes, he can get up to 20. Here comes Bloodlust. Force Wolf immediately drops to shut that down. Lauber, though, still a little bit of trouble. Poison Nova comes out. Black Hole hits no one as Medivh is forced away by the sides, but great Twilight Dream! Garrosh in serious trouble now as he drops the taunt onto Malfury. They're going to try and take it down, but in the meantime, Garrosh taken out in the back by Sammy, who's in serious trouble, though, and is finished off by Maka, who is too low to continue the fight.
Quest completed for Medivh. 2 for 1 in kills now, but of course, Malthael is already back to business with this level 20. They're coming in for the fight again, and at this point, Max Passion might be a little bit too deep, but still can move out. The portal on the chase, though, as they're trying to lock him back in. Bot lane is pushing, and the Vikings are retreating and taking advantage of that fountain that they still have on the top side.
Great job by Malthael there. Incredible value. He knows he has that res, so he was able to dive deep, picked up the kill onto the Gul'dan, and zoned away Rhaegar and Greymane, so they couldn't get the full value, and as such, Garrosh went down as well, sacrificing himself, using that level 20 to give his team the ultimate advantage. And with that, with everyone stuck in base, they're probably getting at least another fort.
Yeah, fort that's a foregone conclusion. The question is, can they finally take a keep down? And they should be able to, honestly. We're 17, 18 minutes in. It's going to be a 5 versus 5. Bot lane has taken some damage, but not enough to seriously threaten the keep there. Urel was here in time to make it happen, to set the defense up. But here comes the big wave. This is the big one. Wall at the side already opened up. They're trying to go on a follow-up on the Punisher jump. So far, not happening. Good damage, though. Nice wall from Tassadar. That was a great one.
The electric fence force will really putting Garrosh in a rough position, but he is able to get out here. Max Passion with the jump at the ready. He is caught in the root, not in the Punisher jump, as Maka is going to pull the aggro over to mid lane. That will take out the Punisher, but the Keep with too many minions, the Keep might fall just to the minions here as we see the portal used as Bloodlust for an attempted chase. Yarel running it down with the Seraphim. Unable to get anyone in the position where they can turn it around though. Garrus though, mortal combo, looking for the turnaround. Can he get as the Twilight Dream comes out? We see Malthael fall.
Malthael already down. A really nice reaction from Medivh, but it's a bit too late to save Malthael. But the Keep is down. And the bottom Keep is going to be in trouble too, and they're not actually stopping there. They're trying to re-engage with the portal, already moving in. Quest completed for Gul'dan. He has the Fel Flame set up, but just look at Maka. He's low and he dies. Greymane is down, and they're going to lose way more over here if they don't pay attention. Once again, it is Bakul to save them, but the next portal is already set up. Here comes their Bone Prison as they try to go for the follow-up kill.
Lauber was left alone in no man's land there in the 1v3, but that's exactly where Zul wants to be. He stood there, he sustained and prevented that disengage, delayed the people coming out of the Medivh sheets long enough for the counter engage to happen. They picked up the Keep. Bot lane is weak as well, and they're even going to try and use this catapult as well as those Zul skeletons to get a little bit of damage onto mid. Fangota going to take a little bit of damage, is forced to portal out.
Nearly 20 minutes into the game now. Big wave accumulating top side, even with a few catapults, but with the Keep at the bottom of the map being this low, they of course want to move in and finally finish it off. There's already storm time, and this is gonna be another Keep that will be destroyed on the red team side. Yeah, 100%. Goes down, one Keep remaining, and it's tough times for the Vikings here.
That feeling when you're a new buffed and improved Keep and you die to a Moonfire. Sometimes it's just a day like that.
3 deaths, by the way, for Malthael. He's the only one that has died on the side of the blue team. So, yeah, the aspect of dead once again.
Absolutely. Bale is being picked up all across the map, pressuring onto mid lane. It's where the next objective will be. Plenty of time for that, though. And with full map control on their side, Laubers Fanboys taking out bot lane as well, already starting on their Fallen Shaman. They just have control over everything right now.
The vision is just so annoying. I mean, Medivh being able to just sniff out the entire opponent's team position is incredible for the late game. There's not going to be any kind of question about, hey, are they hiding? Are they maybe setting up a trap somewhere? You can just simply follow them the entire time, give the rest of the team the safety to move across the map, get those camps, and just make good rotations happen. Even set up a few traps themselves. There's a 6 kills against 3 kill advantage, but it's all about the next shrine, the next objective. But lanes are pushing heavily now against the Vikings, and these catapults are monsters right now.
They really are. Luckily, Greymane with Hunter's Blunderbuss, wave clear is pretty spectacular here. He's going to be able to clean those up, but he will be needed to run up to the rest of the team and try and contest this, because this might be their last chance. Even though it is mid lane, with that extra push potential, they could still be in danger. They have to be careful. Leyline Seal still available. Force Sword just used. They have a little bit of time for that, but the potential for the Astral Communion is still there from Malfurion as well. And by this time, no one can stop death is off cooldown.
Yeah, Zul is waiting for the ult. They can buy themselves a little bit more time for the top and the bot lane to actually pressure the core. And especially the top lane is a big problem. Here comes already the black hole, but doesn't really connect with anything. Ty needs to be careful too. Max Pass is jumping in, and here's the Bloodlust as they're trying to engage.
Leyline shuts it down, though. They get to choose the positioning now. Laubers sets himself up in the middle, poisoned over, but disengaged from Bergolt here. Catapults beginning to work their way onto the core already. So many, as we do see Malthael picked off. Immediate revive, though. But in that time, we did see the attempt by Laubers Fanboys to try and pick up the Punisher, but they are countered by the Vikings. But now there's 3 catapults on the core. Your immediate rush back. No one's with this Punisher. It's just going to be killed in lane, as people have to go back and defend the base.
63%. The Punisher was claimed, but they lost so much in the process. They need to force their team fight, and they need to win it decisively, or this game is gonna end in favor of the blue team one way or another. As time continues, the catapults are scaling even harder. We're 23 minutes in, and it is going to be an absolute disaster if they have to focus their attention onto another shrine while catapults are pushing the lanes. I feel their only option really is to go for a fight, force it somehow, but it's going to be so difficult with Medivh giving their position away continuously.
Yeah, Medivh's always with Burgot, which you can see him separating himself from the rest of his team, at least a little bit, to try and deny maximum vision. Gia will reveal himself, though. They're going to hover around. Max Passion here too. Greymane within range to engage if they chose to. They're going to be a little careful, though. Once again, they can't afford to take a fight that is going to go on too long. If they do fight, it has to be fast, because there's already 1-2 catapults beginning to accumulate in top lane.
Yeah. Zul, in the meantime, has top damage in the game. 62,000 for him. Yes, actually, a lot more damage than Greymane. Greymane has 60% of the damage that we're seeing for Zul now. He's sitting at 40,000, which is a bit bonkers. The only one dying on the blue team side is still Malthael. And as you said, catapults accumulating, slowly pushing top. And where's that fight? What's the strategy for the Vikings to come back into this? They need a teamfight victory.
180 seconds on no one can stop death, and if he can wait this out, then he might be able to get that revive back, as he already used it in the last fight. But the cooldown might be able to get it here. Scoop gonna get rooted. No one to finish him off, though. Max Passion, they might try to look for a turnaround here. Even though they don't have Greymane, they're still gonna try and get to Laubers. They throw him in Poisoned Over, but they can't fight Laubers in that group top style.
Medivh just so impactful again. Oh, but the Horrify, this could actually be the play. They're going for Medivh, and Birdman goes down. Finally, the ley line is too late. They need to chase. They need to get more. Sammy, here comes the setup with the last rights, and he gets the counter kill against Greymane, but as long as they're taking Malthael down, they might just have enough to get finally a little bit of damage done, but the Black Hole Connect from Tassadar.
Lots of damage from that Side Storm as well. Sammy will back up. We don't know if he has that revive, so he's playing it safe, and Payless onto the mid lane as the fight is continuing. It's exactly what the Vikings didn't want to happen. Have a long fight. Great force wall, but Max Passion still able to leap away. But here comes Sammy on that pale horse. He wants to try and prevent them from retreating to mid lane. He wants to try and slow him down. He bodybox Gia. Gia's in a rough position. He's probably going to go down here as he's zoned away thanks to Sammy's teleport, and is picked off.
Catapults have nearly destroyed the keep in the middle, and now they're pushing through the top. Skogger and Rhaegar trying to take care of the situation, but things are dire now for the Vikings. 8 kills against 5 in favor of the blue team. They're already collapsing onto the shrine in the attempt to get their final Punisher here. And since all the lanes are aggressively pushing against the Vikings, and they are still waiting for at least Gul'dan to come back, this is looking incredibly bad for them. What's needed now is a quick victory in the team fight, and it's nearly impossible to pull this one off.
They're going to be pushing into the bot lane. Already 17 out of 40. It's not looking good, like you said, with no Gul'dan. This is going to be a defense at core, if anything, but they're still going to try. In the 4v5, Bloodlust is dropped. We can see Rutsu in full retreat. He will survive, but the poison over just chunks. Medivh cheeks Leyline Seal, gets 3 out of 4 members. Black Hole for the Wombo. Garrosh is taken out by the last rights.
Last rights gets dropped. That's the 3rd stack, and here comes the Mortar Punisher. The core is already getting attacked. Gul'dan is back to try and defend it, but the blue team is mercilessly moving through the remaining heroes of the Vikings. Rhaegar down, Yrel eliminated. And the keep in the middle has fallen by now too. This is gonna be the end of it. They're taking everybody down. Gia is sitting here. He can only commit Sudoku, nothing else. And that will be game. He gets the Horrify. Even if he gets this a kill, it doesn't matter anymore. The lanes alone are gonna finish the job here. And this is the lead for the Fanboys in the series. And therefore the victory. The best of 3 series claimed by the blue team.
Gonna be able to take down the core. Nicely done. Great use of the Medivh, the Zul, the Tassadar. Unconventional, but incredibly effective.